Get it. Good morning, everybody. Today we decided we need to do a little bit of work with clipping manes, amongst a bunch of other things. So this morning already, I've clipped Earl and Bill and Duke and Baron, and I have kicked Earl and Baron outside, along with our two fillies, Bree and June. They're all outside. So then I decided to bring in Ken, which is this big old black horse right here. Bring him in and bring Lady in also into the straight stalls. And we will get them clipped up. It's been quite a while since we've clipped their manes. And it's also been a while since we've even brushed them. Brenda went through and brushed them somewhat this morning. But they were kind of dirty because they're outside and in pens most of the time, so they're laying down in wetter grounds. And until we get some nice snow cover, that's going to continue. Although it looks like we are starting to get a little bit of snow even now. Things are white again, at least. So there's a couple horses eating hay out of their feeder. So now I need some sort of a footstool to do my clipping the way I clip my manes. So footstools have kind of been a sour subject of late. So I'm going to take this chair right here and put it in for my footstool, because my actual footstool that we bought just a few months ago now is ruined. It would take quite a bit to get that straightened back out again so it's usable and safe. So I had put that behind Earl the other day because I had to get up behind him. And didn't he back up? Not trying to, he just backed up slowly and just stepped right on that and kind of squished it right up. And then I was trimming Baron's mane this morning, and didn't he swing over and not see that chair there that I was using for a footstool and step on that and smash that. So now I have to be very careful with my last chair to be able to get this done without them smashing this chair also. So I guess I'm got to go find myself another footstool now and buy a nice one that we can use. But it doesn't matter what you use. If you buy a footstool, these big guys, if they back on them or step on them accidentally, it's going to get squished. So you got to be very careful where you put them and make sure you realize what the horses are going to do. Anyways, let's clip up Ken and Lady. And I think after I clip up Ken, I'm going to put him right in the shoeing stocks because he has shoes on him that need to come off. And I'll talk a little bit about shoeing and shoes in a minute. Okay. So Ken is a horse that is generally quite laid back and easygoing horse, but he has not been worked for quite some time now. And because of that, I could easily see him spooking and backing up and just being afraid of the clippers, which I've clipped him many, many times. He usually stands about perfect, but today, under the circumstances, I could see him doing something stupid. But let's turn him on and see what happens. Here you go. There you go. Come here. Hey. Hey, come here. Come here. Oh. Hey. Hey. In the middle of winter time, they have so much winter hair all over their bodies like this. It's difficult to make a horse look good with a roach mane sometimes, like it's such an extreme in the color right here. But just after a few more days, this color will change and it'll be a darker black and it'll blend right in with the rest of his coat. But it's just difficult to get this line kind of nice because it's so much hair back here. It's so easy to slip and make a big gash right here, and then it really looks bad. In the summertime, it's a little bit more forgiving because the hair is so much shorter down here, and so it's a lot easier to do in the summertime to make it look good. But it's a definite improvement, and as you can see, he's still pretty darn dirty. Brenda worked on him for quite a while earlier this morning and got a lot of the dirt off him, but he's still pretty grubby. But that's what happens when you don't deal with him on an everyday basis and brush him most every day to keep him looking good. But we just have too many horses to be able to keep ahead of everybody. So often people that have horses, even horses that they roach their manes in the summertime, quite often during the winter months, they just let it go completely wild. And I don't know, for myself, I just hate the looks of that. So I'd rather take the time and get it cleaned up. There you go. So now with Ken in the stocks, he'll be perfectly fine waiting there for us. And we'll come back in and clip Lady's mane, which is usually a very simple task. Some horses, it's amazing the difference in their manes. Some manes cut so nice and some not so well. Duke here, for example, he has a mane that is really nice to cut, whereas Bill is a little bit tougher to cut. But Lady's is good. Yep. So we've had quite a few people ask even are we going to start working Lady any? Are we going to start working Ken any? Is Ken retired? Is Lady retired? If I didn't have all the young horses I have right now, both Lady and Ken would be working. There's nothing wrong with them as far as work. Sure, they both get a little age, but so aren't I. But actually, they're all about the same age as Bill, and he's just going strong. But Lady is in foal, of course, as you guys know. And so I don't mind so much if she doesn't work, although I would like to work her a little bit just something about a little bit of work does her body so much good. And it just keeps her kind of in sync with me and knowing that I'm still her boss. It just is a really good thing to do. And I may or may not get to that here. I hope to get to it some this winter, but it won't be a lot. It'll just be a day here and a day there. But as far as their ability to do work, they still have it. They could still be working. But they probably won't do a lot because of my young horses that I have. I just have so much work to do for them. Oh. I'm going to clip her mane. And like I said, she generally is actually one of the best ones to clip manes for clipping. And my clippers are not the best. And I try to really get the dirt out of their manes. And Brenda worked at it pretty hard this morning, but she still has a lot of dirt and dust in there. And but it does dull the clippers, so I like to get them as clean as possible. But generally, she is by far the easiest one to clip because her mane is so fine and so easy to cut, and she just generally stands really good for me. Always the exception, of course. Okay. Come here, girl. Come here, back. Back up here. Back up here. Back up here. Get your nose over here. There. Okay, so she is the last one to be clipped. And she did fine as usual. It's sometimes hard to get this hair off them after you cut it. Get her. Get her, get her. Back. Back there. Back, 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 back. Hey. Oh, you're a dirty girl. Dirty, dirty. When winter finally comes to us and stays here, it'll be so much easier to keep them clean because they'll go outside and they'll roll in the snow and clean themselves off quite a bit. Till then, we just gotta put up with a little bit of dirt. Anyways, that's it for clipping. I guess we gotta do some shoeing and hoof trimming. Come here. Okay, so now we need to pull shoes off of Ken. He's got his shoes on and he's not doing much work, so his shoes need to come off. But I wanted to talk and explain a few things about shoes. A couple days ago now, I took Bill and Duke to my shoer that usually does my shoeing, and they put shoes on, and as you can see, they've got pads on there too, snow pads. So that stops the snow from balling up, of course. So both these guys have shoes on. These are my pulling shoes, my logging shoes, whatever you want to call them. But I'm going to explain a couple things about these shoes in particular that I have noticed over the past decades that I've been dealing with horses, shoeing horses, and working horses. So let me go explain a few things. Now, these things that I am going to explain are my thoughts on it, my ideas on it, my way of thinking about this. Some of you guys may not agree at all with me, and that's okay. We all have our different ways of thinking about things. But I want to share a few of the things I have noticed over the years about different shoes, and let me see what I can do here. Okay, so I have 3 shoes here that they're all used shoes. This is a quite older shoe, but anyways, when people talk about shoes, they talk about pulling shoes or logging shoes, and that's quite often, these are what are used for that. Sometimes people will talk about flat shoes, and this is what is called a flat shoe. And you can see also on this flat shoe, there is drill text brazed on to the heels and to the toe. Okay, so when I started logging, and that was way back in actually I started logging with my dad in 1978, which was a few years ago. And there has not been a winter during this span up until today that I have not logged with horses. So I've got a lot of experience in what I've used on their feet. When I first started logging back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and I did not even consider using a flat shoe, which is this right here. In my mind, this was not a shoe that you would ever use on a draft horse. This is not a shoe you would ever use when you wanted traction to be pulling heavy loads. So I just never considered it or used it. I know a lot of people at the time, even then, did use those shoes, but I grew up with this type of shoe. And so I'm not saying it's better, I'm not saying it's worse, it's just that's what I grew up with, so that's how I, for many, many years, considered the only right option for my operation. Also, and this is what's kind of dawned on me lately, when I first started logging with horses, when you bought your shoes, they looked like this. So they had a toe cork in the front, and in the back they have what we call, well, we didn't even call it anything different. It was just because it was just heel corks, okay? But sometime around, I'm not sure what year it started happening more common. I would say, I don't know. I don't even know when it happened, but all of a sudden, we as people that log with horses, and also people that pull horses at the fairs, changed and went to what we call double heels. So I don't know if you can see this, but there is a second piece of steel that is welded onto the first piece. The first piece was bent around like this, and the length of this bar stock, I guess you could say, was longer, so they cut that off at the height they wanted, and so what they had left over was enough steel to put right in this area here, like you can see right here, and weld together, so you have a double heel. Well, when they first came out, I'm just guessing, but I would say I never even considered using a double heel until 2000, somewhere in there. I know they were available to buy, but they always cost more to buy a double-heeled horseshoe. So I just, because of expense, I chose to go with a single-heel horseshoe, which was a few dollars cheaper. Over the years, and I've really thought about mostly in the last year, I think we've actually done a disservice by going with the double heels. The reason I say that, now to make things clear, they're all worn off now, but these shoes also would have had drill tacks, which we have on this flat shoe, brazed onto the toe and onto the heels. And they're not there on these old shoes because they've been used quite a bit and they're worn down. But maybe this particular shoe never even had it on. I don't even know. Can't tell for sure. But I would almost guarantee this one probably did, although it's worn down quite a bit, so maybe that didn't either. But anyways, most of the time they are. But because of that, when they're freshly made, they're great as far as pulling, especially in maybe softer soil, which is what you would have in the summertime. But in the wintertime, or when it's, even in the summertime a lot of times, if you think about this, because of the thickness of this heel, these heel corks, compared to a single heel cork, they don't go into the ground very much, whereas the front toe cork is a smaller thickness than even the heel cork. So when the horse is working, that toe cork sinks into the dirt, and the heel corks don't go in quite so much. And if it's a double heel cork like this, it would even go in less. So what that is doing on the horse is making the horse pull more as if they have high heels on. Also, because of the fact that the double heels here, especially when they have borium on, they do not wear down hardly at all, and the toe cork wears right down. So it only makes it all the worse as it wears down that they're up on their heels even more than they should be. That is, I think, one of the reasons why a lot of the guys, a lot of the farriers, prefer the flat shoes, because it doesn't have that effect on a horse of a high heel. With my horses, so many of my horses, and I think it has to do with a lot of horses also, draft horses, they have difficulty growing heels. Their toes grow out good, but their heels just don't seem to grow as well. And so that's an issue also. But I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think, especially you guys that have used pulling shoes. What are your thoughts about that? And I have noticed in the past 20 years, I have had more troubles with my horse's feet than I used to have in years before that with the single heel corks. So, and nowadays, I don't even know if you can buy a shoe like this that just has the single heel corks. As a matter of fact, the shoes that I have on the horses right now are brand new. And I actually had my neighbor take this piece to make the double heel, cut it right out of there. So they just have single toe heel corks, because I think that's so important. And I may be wrong, but that's just something I have kind of realized in my mind over the last little bit. And so I'm going back to the single heel corks and see how that works. So just a little talk about these flat shoes. And I think one reason why people like them so well is they're so easy to put on. They're a lot smaller in thickness. You see the thickness of that one there, and the thickness of this one is quite a bit smaller. Some people use the full thickness on a flat shoe also, but this is a thin one, which is really, really handy. You can, bend it to flatten it down really easy. But the one huge benefit of these type of shoes is they tend to stay on their feet so much better than these heavy-duty pulling shoes. And that's a good and bad thing. I know that a lot of my horses, Ken, for example, has had those stupid shoes on, I bet, for 12 weeks. I'm not sure about that. I could check. But it's been a long, long time. And they're all tight as can be. No, there's not a loose shoe on them. But the problem with it is horses' feet really should be trimmed back every 6 to 8 weeks, not 12 weeks. So by putting these type of shoes on, it kind of allows you to do a poor job of your trimming, and allows those feet to grow a lot longer than they should before they get trimmed back and the shoe shortened up on those toes, because you do not want a long, long toe on a horse that wants to pull heavy loads, because they'll just trip. They can't pull with those long toes. So you need to have those toes back to, as short as you dare, basically, to be able to have a lot better ability to pull. Okay, guys. So these are just my wild thoughts on this all. And I know from what I've seen, even on Facebook and all these social media things, YouTube and whatever, hardly anybody does it the way I do it, and hardly anybody logs with these heavy-duty pulling shoes. My opinion is I love them. They are so much better for traction, and but they do have some issues. I'm not denying that. And the flat shoes have their huge advantages over some things, but I still would prefer, and I hope I can have better feet by having these heel corks down to what they originally were, just a single heel cork and not a double heel cork. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion of that, so let me know in the comments below what you think. So my plan was to take Bill and Duke to the woods. I was able to work both teams in the woods yesterday for half a day each, and that was great. But with all the other things I have going on, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get there. We are supposed to get quite a storm tonight, 3 to 5 inches or so, and a few more inches tomorrow. So that may stop me from getting to the woods, so I may have to do a few other things instead. But for right now, I got to pull these shoes off and trim his feet up a little bit. And I really should tackle Lady's feet also and give her a trimming. So I'll get going on that, and I'll at least show you the results. Back, Ken. Back up, Ken. Damn it. So with Lady, guys, she's had some issues with toes growing good and heels not growing good. Now, she hasn't had shoes on her for quite a while now. And so I'm just going to kind of clean things out. Make sure there's no thrush in the hoof, in the frog. That looks pretty good. I am very happy with how her feet are doing, and since she's been barefoot, and she has been growing decent heels, so she's got 2 good heels right here, which is great. When for a while there she was having troubles with the heels. I'd like to take just a tiny little bit off that toe, round it up a little bit, and that's probably all I'll do. Come on, lady. Lady. Pick it up. Hey, hey. At the bow. Pick it up. Right there. Bow. Hey. Yep. So that's what I like. Nice short toe, rounded nicely. So if we compare, hey, get over there. Okay. So if we compare these two front feet, the one I just did up has nice straight walls, nice short toe, and this one here is all dirty, of course, but underneath that hairline, you can see that wall comes down quite straight and then it kind of flares out. So I've been working on trimming these quite a bit to try to get that flare out of there. And this foot to our left, I've got it just about perfect in my mind. And this foot right here has quite a bit still more flare. You can feel it right here where it bulges out. And it wants to be a nice straight wall, and it is until right there, and that's where it bulges out. That's why it's important to trim these hooves more often than not, because if you let them go for a long period of time, that's exactly what happens, and you get into all kinds of troubles with that. So that's what we're doing with this. We'll get that trimmed up, and I won't even bother with those hind feet because they look good just the way they are. A lot of times, a lot of good horses with good hooves need very little work and they just take care of themselves. But she wasn't that way with her front legs, front feet. They definitely needed a lot of work, but I'm really pleased, even at her older age, how great her feet are looking. So let's get this one cleaned up and then we'll be done. Okay. Okay, guys, with so many things, you just can't fix them in one time, you know, for shoes, feet. You can't just necessarily fix it in one shoeing. Sometimes you can. But I'm just so pleased with how good this is coming along. This foot here is considerably better, but it's still not to the point where the other one is. But it will be. Probably another couple more times of trimming her foot will get that foot just where I want it to be. That lady. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back. 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 Come here. Yep, Oh. Well, guys, since the shoeing's all done, it took me a little longer than I thought I would. And so that put me a little bit behind. I decided I better not go to the woods today. I might as well, since I have these horses all somewhat cleaned up, or I should say Brenda did, I might as well give them a little bit of workout. So I'm going to just spread a load of manure. It's a beauty about on a farm. You generally have a load or two of manure to spread at almost any given time. So let's spread a load with these two and still if they know what to do. And then I have actually got to load up a couple steers in my trailer. And who knows, I might even show you that. I have had people ask about, when are these guys going to retire? Of course, I've had that asked a lot. And I should do a video sometime and talk a little bit about how whether retiring is necessary for a horse, whether retiring is any good for a horse. There's a lot of things to talk about, actually, when it comes to retiring a horse. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime. Happy. Hey. Back up here. Lady, back up here. Back up here. Get in. Get in. Ho. Hip. Back up here, lady. Back up here. Oop. Ho. A calf step. Up here. Up, please. Bye. Yep. Careful. Oh. So we got a good load of manure on for this load. Let's see how well they do. Calf a step. They really know how to throw it, don't they, guys? Some people like to have their horses walk really slow when they're spread manure, and really slow all the time. But there's one thing about spread manure: the faster you go, the more it breaks it up, the more it throws it. It actually does a better job if you're going a little bit fast. But you gotta have horses that are well fed and feel good enough to go fast, and then horses also that don't run away. Oh, you know, I would almost bet there's as many runaways with good old honest teams of horses as there are with young animals, because so often we have horses that have been great horses for years, and then they sit around for 6 months and don't work, and we expect them to go right out the day we want to work them, and they work perfect. We expect that from them, and a lot of times they do. But though, so often when conditions are right, and that horse has been not doing anything for a while, and he feels really good, there's so many things that can go wrong, and those are the times where you actually have to be the most cautious, because those runaways are just a split second away. So I just caution guys that have an older team that they think are bomb-proof, and then they don't use them for a month or 2 or 6 months, and jump back on them thinking they're going to be the exact bomb-proof horse that they had 6 months ago, and it doesn't always work out that way. Calf stop. So that surely isn't much of a workout for these two, but it's just good to do this once in a while, just to remind them that they're here on this farm for a reason, and they surely don't work every day, and they sometimes go for a long period of time between times that they work, but they may be called back into service at any point. So we'll back this spreader in the barn and see about getting set up to move some cattle. A ver. A ver. G. Oh. Aba. G. Oh. Aba. G, lady, G, lady, G. Ha, la belle. Ha, oh, la belle. Ha. Oh. Nice step. Oh. Hey. Ew. Enough. Up there. Okay guys, we're ready to attempt to load some cattle, but I just wanted to show you, I brought the horses out here because I wanted the horse barn empty when I bring the cattle through, and I'll show you how I do it, and I'll tell you how I want to do it, and then when it comes to cattle, you can say how you want to do it all you want, and it doesn't always go as planned. Anyways, let me show you what I do have set up. This has worked pretty good over the years. I've actually tweaked it a little bit here and there. A couple weeks ago, I sent 2 steers, and they went slick as can be. Went right up this little ramp I have here. Not ramp, but chute I have here, I guess you could say. I have some nice second cutting in there. And so they just jumped right in beautifully, and I shut the sliding door as soon as they were in. I cannot use my swing door quite as well right here because I'd have to be too far out, and the trailer, the door of the trailer is too high to slide underneath the framework here, this concrete framework of my door. So it makes it a little bit hard. But this worked really good the last time. So let's see if we can't get those 2 sorted out that I want to bring into the trailer, and we'll let you see what happens. I say that, but I may set the camera up and it might get just so crazy that I just forget filming and just concentrate on getting these critters in where they belong. So what I'm going to do to start with is take this gate and shut it and lock it. So also, guys, I know a lot of you guys that watch my channel aren't used to cattle and all that stuff. If you notice, I carry a big stick. I kind of speak softly and carry a big stick, as they say. I don't beat on the animals with this stick. This is just a stick to keep them a distance from me so that if they were to kick, I'm not so apt to get hit with their hooves. It just helps, gives me kind of an extra long arm out here so I can guide them to where I want them to go. So I have it set up in this way so that if I can get just the 2 steers out of that pen over there, that would be great. If more follow them and I can't get just the 2 steers in, I can sort them in this section of the barn easier because I can put who I don't want into that pen there. And that's Ken's pen, and this pen is Lady's, and I can shut that gate, and then I can open up that gate and run them through. I can talk all I want and tell you exactly what I want to do, and who knows how it's going to work out. So let's just do it and see what happens. So that went just as I had planned and hoped for. Now I'm going to shut this gate. So it's one less place for them to run to. And then I'm going to sneak in here. Unfortunately, our animals are wild as can be. A lot of people have their beef cows friendly. We do not. And that's just because of the time it takes to get them friendly. They're not that crazy, but they're crazy enough. So one's headed that way. So sometimes slow is good, sometimes fast is good. You just never know. Come in. Come in. Come in. Come in. Come in. Come on. 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 Hey. 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 And that, my friends, is the way to do it. And that's twice now that has happened. But I'm telling you, there's been times, and you guys that load cattle, you know what I'm talking about. There's been times where it just is a nightmare to try and get these critters into where they belong. But this time it went super great. I still have to get into that pen and shut my door here so that they're just in the back. I wouldn't have to, but I just don't want them to cause trouble up in the front where I just have that board wall. So I am going to do that. So I have them in there. But as you can see, the trouble that could be with that wooden board. So I'm going to open this up and let them come back here. My rope is in the way. So I'm going to slide this open and then I'm going to jump out of the trailer and shut this gate. And I will actually go around the other way and shut the gate so they have to stay on this side. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me for a while today. It's been a good day. It's always great when I can get those steers loaded up into a trailer. And I hope you guys had a great evening, and we shall see you next time.